His villa overlooked Mount Vesuvius, mist-shrouded and silent. He dipped his stylus into ink, pausing mid-sentence. Suddenly the ground convulsed beneath him, sending a violent lurch through the villa that shook the inkpot, threatening to topple it. Panic thundered through his chest as the room filled with the sound of distant pottery shattering. A deep, primal rumble followed, resonating through the air as if the earth itself had cried out in warning. Dust descended from the rafters, and for a moment Marcus could taste the grit on his tongue, mingling with the scent of freshly disturbed earth. Scrolls tumbled. A bronze bust of Mars crashed to the floor. Marcus didn't move, his eyes locked on the mountain. As the villa awakens, Cassia, heavy with child, called out from the atrium, her voice quivering with dread. Sabina rushed to her side, gripping Cassia's trembling shoulders as the marble floor seemed to shudder beneath them. Darius, heart-pounding, dashed to secure the wine racks in the cellar. Lucia, barefoot and wide-eyed, clung desperately to her mother's robe, her small fingers shaking. Outside, neighbors shouted. Dogs barked. A column cracked near the bathhouse. The city breathes. By midday, the city resumed its rhythm. Merchants reopened their stalls. Yet nearby, a sundial stood still, its shadow refusing to mark time, drawing curious whispers from passers-by. Children chased each other through the forum, their laughter muffling a priest seen gesturing frantically, refusing offerings outside the Temple of Mercury. The baker near the Temple of Apollo resumed kneading dough, his flour-covered hands trembling only slightly. Sabina walked the market, gathering herbs for Cassia's swelling. She paused near a mosaic vendor where a new piece depicted Vesuvius, its peak crowned with flames. Darius lingered near the library, thumbing through scrolls on geology and omens. He found one, brittle and half-burned, that read, "When the mountain breathes, the gods remember." That evening, Marcus sat beneath the pergola, watching the sun bleed into the horizon. Cassia joined him, her hand resting on her belly. Lucia played nearby, arranging pebbles into shapes, one of them eerily resembling the mountain. Sabina served wine, her eyes scanning the sky. Darius remained quiet, the scroll tucked into his tunic. As stars emerged, Marcus gathered the household. His decision is made. Sabina looked away. Darius clenched his jaw. Cassia said nothing. Lucia asked, "Will the mountain hurt us?" Marcus knelt beside her, but Sabina had seen the birds vanish. Darius had felt the heat rising from the cellar stones. Elsewhere in the villa, quiet tension grew as the servants conferred, concerned for what might come next. Later, in the servants' quarters, Sabina whispered to Darius. They sat in silence, the weight of loyalty pressing heavier than fear. Unable to sleep, Marcus returned to his study. He opened a locked chest containing medals from his campaigns, letters from Caesar, and a dagger etched with the words, "Fortune favors the brave." Holding the dagger, a vivid memory surged back, an ambush in the Gaul forest, screams slicing through the fog. The weight of the blade felt both familiar and foreign, a reminder of the battles he'd faced and those yet to come. Suddenly a rush of urgency struck him, linking his past courage to the present threat. The echoes of command filled his ears, propelling him towards a decisive action for his family's sake. At midnight, a second quake struck, stronger, longer, tiles shattered, statues fell. The air grew thick. Lucia screamed, her voice raw with terror. Cassia wept. At midnight, a second quake struck, stronger, longer, tiles shattered, statues fell. The air grew thick. Lucia screamed, her voice raw with terror. Cassia wept. Shoulders shaking as fear overtook her, Sabina fell to her knees and prayed, sobs breaking through her whispers. Marcus stood in the courtyard staring at Vesuvius. A faint glow pulsed at its summit. Pompeii, its streets lit by oil lamps, its people asleep or restless, unaware. Chapter 3. The day the sky changed. 2 days remained. The mountain no longer whispered. It breathed. And in Pompeii, the air itself began to remember. Marcus stood in the courtyard, staring at the sky. The plume above Vesuvius had thickened overnight, no longer a wisp, but a column. Ash drifted like snow, soft and gray, coating the laurel trees and the marble steps. He recalled a remedy he had learned from an old herbalist, a mixture of honey, vinegar, and mullein to soothe lungs choked with ash. In the marketplace, such knowledge was as precious as gold, with a mule's price reaching nearly 30 denarii in anticipation of escape. Lucia danced in it at first, laughing. Then she sneezed, then coughed. Cassia watched from the doorway, her hand pressed to her belly. Her ankles were swollen, her eyes tired. Sabina brought her a cloth soaked in lavender water. Darius stood nearby, holding a satchel. "We should go," he said again. Marcus didn't answer. He was watching the mountain. He had once led men into battle with certainty, but now every decision felt like betrayal of his pride, of his past, of his people. At midday the city was uneasy. Markets were half full. The temple bells rang late. A goat had been found dead near the aqueduct. No wounds, just stillness. A priest stood on the temple steps, shouting that the gods were testing them, that to flee was to show weakness. Sabina passed by, clutching a basket of figs. She paused as a woman whispered to her, "The cult meets tonight, beneath the baths. They say the mountain is a god, and it is waking." Sabina said nothing, but her grip on the basket tightened. Back at the villa, Marcus sat with Cassia in the shade. "I should have taken you away," he said, "months ago." "You didn't want to see it," she replied. "None of us did." He looked at her belly, then at Lucia playing with pebbles again, this time arranging them into a spiral. "I've buried men in colder places than this," he said, "but I've never feared the ground beneath me." Cassia took his hand. "Then fear it now, and choose." That night, Sabina slipped away. Darius followed. They descended into the catacombs beneath the public baths, where a circle of figures stood around a brazier. The air was thick with incense and ash. A woman in a red veil spoke. "The mountain is not angry, it is remembering, and it will bury what it cannot forgive." Sabina stepped forward. "Then what must we do?" "Leave," the woman said, "or be part of the memory." Back at the villa, Marcus paced. Darius returned and stood before him. "I'm taking them," he said. "Cassia, Lucia, Sabina, we leave at dawn." "You forget your place," Marcus growled. "No," Darius said. "I remember it. I remember who saved me from the mines, who taught me to read, who gave me a name. Will not let that man lose everything." Chapter 4. The Day Before Fire. One day remained. The mountain pulsed like a heart, and Pompeii, proud and trembling, stood on the edge of memory. Morning arrived at the villa, and the ash was thicker now. It coated the garden like frost, clung to the olive trees, and settled into the folds of Cassia's robe. Marcus hadn't slept. He sat at his desk again, staring at the mountain. The plume was no longer gray. It was black, rising like a curse. Darius entered quietly. "The roads are filling," he said. "People are leaving. Some say the sea is boiling." Marcus didn't respond. He was tracing the edge of a scroll with his thumb, one he had written years ago, a letter to Caesar, full of pride and certainty. But pride is brittle, and certainty, like stone, can crack. Pompeii was no longer pretending. The forum was half empty, the temples closed, the markets silent. A woman screamed near the amphitheater. Her son had vanished. A man claimed the gods were punishing the city for its arrogance. Sabina walked quickly, gathering supplies. Darius followed, watching the sky. "It's coming," he said, "tonight or tomorrow." Sabina nodded. "We leave at first light, if we can." Back at the villa, Cassia gripped the edge of the bed, her breath short, her face pale. "It's starting," she whispered. "The child. It's coming." Sabina rushed to her side. Lucia cried in the corner. Marcus stood frozen. "We can't move her now," Sabina said. "Not like this." Darius prepared hot water. Marcus knelt beside his wife. "You're strong," he said. "Stronger than the mountain." Cassia smiled faintly. "Then let's prove it." As the sun dipped low, Marcus stood in the courtyard. The mountain glowed red now, its breath thick and angry. Darius approached. "We must go, tonight, even if she stays." Marcus turned. "I will not leave her." "Then we all stay." Sabina joined them. "We are family, and family does not run." Marcus looked at them, his scribe, his servant, his daughter, his wife, all trembling, all waiting. He had commanded legions, but this was the first time he had led with love. The quake came like thunder. The villa groaned. A column collapsed. The fountain shattered. Cassia screamed. Sabina held her hand. Darius steadied Lucia. Marcus stood in the doorway watching the sky. The mountain was alive now, glowing and growling, ready. The earth quivered beneath him, tiles cracked, and a statue trembled on its plinth. One day remained. The city had begun to die. In the deepest part of the night, Cassia gave birth. A boy, small, quiet, blinking through the ash. Sabina wrapped him in linen. Lucia kissed his forehead. Darius wept. Marcus held him, his hands trembling. "He will live," he said, "even if we do not." Cassia smiled. "Then let's give him a story worth remembering." And so the final day ended, not with fire but with birth, a beginning carved from the edge of an ending. Chapter 5. The Fire Beneath Us. The day had come. The mountain no longer warned. It struck, and Pompeii, carved in pride and stone, began to vanish. Dawn came to the villa. The ash blanketed the villa like snow, but was nothing like winter. The sky was no longer blue. It was bruised, red and gray, pulsing with heat. The air tasted of sulfur. Birds were gone. Dogs howled. Marcus stood in the courtyard, holding his newborn son. Cassia sat nearby, pale but calm. Lucia clung to Sabina. Darius packed scrolls and food into a cart. "We leave now," Marcus said. "No more waiting." Sabina nodded. Darius tightened the straps. The mountain rumbled. Pompeii was unraveling. The city was in chaos as columns collapsed. Roofs caved. People screamed and ran. Some prayed. Some froze. The forum was a blur of motion, families fleeing, carts overturned, statues shattered. A priest stood in the center, arms raised. "The gods are cleansing us!" Then the sky cracked open. A blast, a roar. The mountain erupted. A column of fire and ash surged upward, blotting out the sun. It was not a scream. It was a silence so loud it broke the world. Marcus led the cart through the side streets, avoiding the main roads. Sabina held Lucia. Cassia cradled the baby. Darius guided the mule. Ash fell in sheets. The ground trembled. Buildings collapsed behind them. They passed neighbors, some fleeing, some kneeling, some already gone. "Keep moving," Marcus said. "Don't look back." But Lucia did, and saw the temple crumble. "It's all falling," she whispered. Pompeii was not dying. It was being erased. Near the edge of the city, the road split. One path led to the coast, the other to the hills. A wall of debris blocked the coastal road. People screamed, trapped. Marcus turned to Darius. "Take them, through the hills. You know the way." "And you?" "I'll clear the path. I was a commander once." "I still am." Cassia grabbed his hand. "Don't be a hero." "I'm being a father." He kissed her, kissed the baby, then turned. The pyroclastic surge came fast, hot, choking, unstoppable. Marcus reached the blockage, helping others climb over. He lifted children, guided elders, shouted orders. Amidst the chaos, a fleeting memory surfaced, his promise to Cassia never to leave her side. His heart ached with the weight of it, turning each act of heroism into a bitter reminder of the vow he now risked breaking. Then the heat came, a wall of fire and ash. He turned once more toward the mountain. "You will not take them." And then silence. Some legacies are carved in stone, others in sacrifice. Darius led the cart through the hills. Sabina held Lucia close. Cassia wept silently, clutching the baby. They reached a ridge and looked back. Pompeii was gone, buried, silent. Lucia whispered, "Will they remember?" Darius said, "We will." And so it ended, not with a scream, but with a memory, a family, a choice, a story waiting to be found. Epilogue. The mosaic beneath the ash. Centuries passed. The mountain slept again. The city was forgotten, buried beneath silence and stone. But memory, like fire, finds its way. Dust swirled as the archaeologist brushed away the final layer of ash. Beneath it, a mosaic, intact and vibrant, impossibly preserved. He paused, fingers tracing the ancient tiles, and murmured a Latin phrase from Marcus's own scroll. In that moment, centuries bridged in a single breath. The theme of memory, breaking silence, resonated powerfully through the excavation site. A man holding a child, a woman with a laurel crown, a girl with pebbles in her hands. Two figures in the background, one with a scroll, the other with a bowl of herbs. At the center, a name, a Marcus Varro. They had not been emperors, not gods, just a family, but they endured. The mosaic tells the story. Each tile whispered a piece of the past. The mountain in the distance, red with warning. A scroll half burned held by a young man, a woman in labor surrounded by ash, a final embrace beneath a crumbling arch. He had once written to Caesar, but this was his true letter, a message not of war, but of love. The legacy lives on. Tourists passed by, snapping photos. Children pointed. A guide spoke of the Varro family, of their escape, their sacrifice, their story. In a nearby museum, a plaque read, "Found beneath the ash in 2025, a mosaic believed to depict the final days of a Pompeian family. Their names lost to time, until now." Pompeii did not die. It waited, and when it was ready, it spoke. Not of emperors or temples, not of conquest or coin, but of a father who stayed, a mother who endured, a child who remembered, and a story that refused to be buried. We hope you enjoyed the story, and hope you will click on the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Click on the bell for all notifications, and if you can, become a member, and help support the channel with more stories and videos. Thanks for watching.